Last but not least, Pascal, I'm responsible for further education at CYP. So let's get started. And as I heard, you don't have that much time, so you can see here the program of today's meeting. We're starting with an overview of the education system in Switzerland. Even though I know that you already know the system, but in the banking section it's slightly different. So that's why we're having a close look again. And then we'll split the whole group into two groups. So one group will have the opportunity to get an insight of CYP and general vocational school. And the other group will have the opportunity with Credit Suisse to have an interview with these two apprentices. And then, after a certain time, we make the exchange so that you hear and see everything, of course. And then we should be ending the program at maybe 10:30, maybe a bit later. We'll see how many questions you still will have at the end. So I'll start now with an overview of the system, and it's not such a technical overview. It's more a map, a picture. I think that might be very illustrating. You might see the different ways you have. So starting really from the scratch, teenager after 9 years of compulsory school, they have to decide. Either go to commercial college or Matura school with a degree of baccalaureate. They're getting there with access afterwards to university, or either go to a certain company, in our case, and today it's a bank, go to vocational college, go to CYP. So it's quite a hard decision to take because they're very young to that age, and I think the whole system is very successful, and it shows in these 2/3 or 66% of teenagers decide to go towards an apprenticeship. They enter a company. So it's totally different if you compare with other countries. Here in Switzerland, 2/3 are heading to an apprenticeship. So whenever you have any questions, and by the way, you're getting the presentation, if you want it at the end, you're getting the presentation, so you have the picture on it, but feel free to take pictures, of course. Because, just to let you know, NSA already knows what's happening in here. So good, so when these apprentices, they've done examination, they now have the possibility, and I want to show you with that picture what kind of possibility they have. When they've done federal vocational baccalaureate, they have the possibility to enter University of Applied Science, for example, where it's on a quite high academic standard, but they have practice as well. That's why it's called Applied Science. Or they can enter the Federal Institute of Technology, ETH. That might be possibilities they have. And after they've done that degree, they might enter university, do their bachelor or master degree. So it's very important for these apprentices that it's not a dead-end road, what they're doing, that it's really open and they can head, if they want to, and develop their career. If they haven't done their federal vocational baccalaureate, they can go for another college called Professional Training and Education, or PET, the abbreviation. So after they have done that, it's more practice oriented. They can then enter, for example, the University of Applied Science, and then enter university, and if they really want to, and then I have friends who have done it, do in the end their PhD, if they really want. But it's a possibility when you're starting with an apprenticeship that you end with your PhD, if you really want to. So that is really, or might be one of the key success factors of that system. And now, as I said before, that 2/3 of the teenagers, they choose an apprenticeship. We're now having a closer look at Credit Suisse, which is one of our partners. We're working together. And one company who has a lot of apprentices here in Switzerland. So here you see a few pictures of the onboarding day at Credit Suisse. You see they're doing many games at the beginning. They're having projects during their apprenticeship. This one is called Forest because they had to plant little trees in one part of Switzerland. So you already can see it's important for them to become a team member of the company, but not only of the company, as well of their peers, of course. And during the whole program, it's one goal that they see what kind of responsibilities they should take, and in different areas, not only for the company. They're responsible for their company, but as well they're responsible, for example, for environment. So you have different goals on your target during their apprenticeship. Furthermore, just imagine that a teenager is entering your company at the age of 16, 17, and you, as the boss of the company, you have the unique opportunity to introduce these young talents now to the working life for the first time. So that's, for me, it's wonderful because they get to know your company inside out, and I think that loyalty of teenagers afterwards is very high. So we will see later on that retention rate of Credit Suisse for the apprentice in their company is very high because of that. So that's another success factor. At the beginning, you might ask, why should I, as a company, invest time and money in these apprentices? But in the end, you get return on investment. That's for sure. Maybe we'll see later on, or having an answer in what kind of direction these return on investment is going. Another point, and I think nowadays, especially nowadays, if I'm in contact with young apprentices and they see what kind of devices they're using and what kind of methods, approaches they're having to facing new problems, it's totally different than my way of thinking. And that's a great opportunity for a company. It means that's your, or one part of your innovation board you're having with these apprentices. So that might be another possibility to use them between brackets. And another possibility Credit Suisse is doing, and I think it's a wonderful way, that the young apprentices, they learn from olders. So we have a peer-to-peer learning and coaching at Credit Suisse. So it's another approach than when you're having a boss that is 20 years older than you, telling you what to do. It's much better than when you have new peers telling you what's important and what kind of rule you have to look after. Good. Then, furthermore, by teaching them important business skills, you're getting an employer or an apprentice that is getting more and more valuable for your company. At the beginning, it's only an investment. At the end, you're really getting something back of that employer because it's knowing your company inside out. Especially in banking, you have many different clients you have to deal with. And when they're entering the apprenticeship, and you will hear probably a few stories later on, then they have to deal with different cultures, with different clients, and then at the beginning not prepared to it. So really they have to learn social competencies as well. That's another key. And you can see it when they first enter the apprenticeship. Most of them, they're too thin for their suits. They ask you whether they should use a pen or a pencil to write, and then after a month or two, you can see really a changement in their behavior. So they're much more in an adult. They landed in an adult world all of a sudden. And of course, not only they do know that company by heart, but they have built up a valuable network. And you will see how this network, or how that works at CYP or at school, so how they can network later on. Then one of the key factors for me in the whole system, you have several, is the support by trained vocational trainer. They have an education in that, of course, and they are, and you will hear hopefully a few stories later on as well from the apprentices. They are supporting the apprentices in their daily work, in their problem they're having. Then, while they work on a bank, they have the possibility that what they have learned, for example, at CYP, to practice in reality, in real life. And they're really facing customers. So it's not they're hiding behind the wall and just listening what someone is doing. No, they're facing clients one-to-one, and they're doing mistakes, and then they discuss it together with the vocational trainer, for example, and they're gaining experience doing the whole process. And as I already said, it's important that the apprenticeship is a solid base, but a career development is possible on that base if somebody wants to. I mean, there are apprentices who say, that was it, and now I want to work for 10 years, and then all of a sudden they have the wish for a further education, then they still have the possibility, of course, to do that. So, it's, and we totally agree, everybody, it's a challenge to make young people fit for life, for working life as well. First of all, the duration of the program, between 3 and 4 years, depending on the apprenticeship you're having. Then when building up an apprenticeship, you have to think of what kind and what quantity of assignments are needed. So you have to work together with a partner with an association who's telling you how many assignments you need. You have to give the apprentices the possibility for a job rotation, so they see different aspects in a bank. You have to have qualified vocational trainers. These vocational trainers, they coordinate as well these 3 platforms, like vocational school, CYP, and the bank, and maybe there's some leisure time as well. So it's quite for an apprentice. It's very demanding. So it's an apprenticeship at the beginning. So they really need the help of the vocational trainers. And last but not least, they're in a special age. And now speaking of a teacher, which I was like 15 years ago, in that age, they're starting to develop their personality. So it's not the easiest age. They start to have ideas, start to having boyfriends, ideas to get a car, ideas to have a flat, whatever. So these vocational trainers, they're really coaches, not only for problems in the bank, but for really problems they're having in their daily life as well. Here you see a picture at the end of the examination. Of course, then Credit Suisse was very proud and did celebrate that with all the students, of course. And you can see here, they have 80% of retention rate at the end of the apprenticeship. Means they're staying at the bank. That doesn't mean they're heading for further education, because they still can work part-time, for example, on the bank, because they know Credit Suisse inside out and all these processes. So I think in the end, it's a win-win situation for either the apprentice or the company as well. So let me conclude by saying that I think we have several success factors in that system. So one success factor is the social acceptance. The apprenticeship should be the normal and valuable way in the society. If it's not based in society, I don't say forget it, but it's a long way to build that up. It's not from one day to another, just because politics is saying we want to introduce that. Then you need the commitment of companies. We have in Switzerland 200 different apprenticeships we're offering. I don't know how many companies, but thousands of companies offering apprenticeship. You have a contribution by politics. For example, in 2014 was the year of vocational education and training. And if you take these three success factors, it should be really a solid base for your personal career development if you want to. Yes, at the last sentence, especially to tackle future challenges in the life of the apprentice or the life of the company. If you have young talents in your company, you might be better to tackle future challenges. So, I just want to show you very quickly that overview because we're heading to the already to the second part. Just to show you again, that is the house of Credit Suisse, especially here left side. You see what kind of job rotation they're doing as a role model at Credit Suisse. Means at first year they're going to cash service or CFO operations, and then heading to other departments to learn, for example, what is important with private clients in second year, for example. And in the meantime as well, or doing this at the same time, they're heading off the job to the commercial vocational school. You will get an insight later on by Alexia and Linda. And they're heading to CYP, where they get all the basics in banking, company-specific professional learnings. You get an insight as well from that later on from Alexia and Linda. Good. Then we have